You ran away last time. We can't have you do that. Oh, this can't be good. Why is it dorked up? Everything's dorked up. Oh man, my YouTube might be screwed up. My YouTube might be screwed up. I have to doing something wrong. Literally quicker than the bot. That's just insane. Well, it's okay, dude. Okay. I think horizontal YouTube is live. I'm trying to stream vertically to YouTube today. I don't know why it's not working. It's never easy, you know? It's like a stream. Main. Vertical. See, need to change video resolution. The current resolution is 1440, which is not supported for this configuration. The expected resolution is 1920 by 1080. Why? And then vertical, I need to stream. Yeah, I'm trying to use the ATEM tool. Hey, Buffer. So on my other computer, which I have everything set up for vertical and horizontal, I'm actually using oh, I don't remember what I'm using. Is it Stream Elements Live, I think, something like that. And that works. But on my other computer here, when I originally started streaming, I was using ATEM. And I don't know why my vertical stream is pushing to the horizontal stream. Vertical ingest server stream key. Okay. Let me see here. Stream key, stream key. Where is my stream key? Copy the stream key. Ooh, okay, the stream key was wrong. Okay. That might have been all I needed. I hope. I don't know why. Reuse output encoder. Video encoder index is. Do I need to do 1920? Audio encoder. All right, hit OK. All right, I'm gonna try this again. We're going live in 3, 2. We'll just pretend like we're starting right now. Right, Mia. I want my Doom scrollers back. I need to stream vertically. It's my only chance. My Doom scrollers is my lifeblood. Yeah, I know, and YouTube's changing some stuff as well under the hood, I think. Because I think they're getting to a point where they're going to merge regular YouTube chat and vertical YouTube chat into one chat. So I'm assuming Twitch will head that route too, if it isn't already. Come on, vertical. Okay, I think vertical's good. Bring on the doom scrollers. Okay, so we're live, and I think we're live on everything now. Right? Oh, I just noticed this. Jan with the 15 stream stream streak. Hell yeah, let's go. I didn't I'm on the Twitch's website right now. I didn't realize it provided all these extra notifications. I need a third monitor so bad. Once I get a third monitor, I'll just have like I'll have all the websites up and running. Um we got the first doom scroller. Let's go. It's working. You see the you see my Fun and Software Twitch logo? I couldn't find, like, I was trying to find a logo generator because I'm surprised like Twitch doesn't give you a brand logo for your channel, or if it does, I couldn't find it. I'm hoping that points people to the right direction. How's audio? Let me make sure. Uh, my GPU is still looking good. It's only at 75% utilization, so that's good. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. Let's see here. Hello, me. All right, we are live doom scrolling. And what about horizontals? Horizontal still looking good for my boomers. How's the horizontal sounding? Wait, did I not get a notification for going live horizontally? Oh, here we go. All right. All right, we can support the boomers. We're good. Ooh, audio sounding crisp. Crisp and clean. No dual format on Twitch. The latency on YouTube is definitely, yeah, and I even have it set to faster, I think. Because like part of the reason I discovered that there was latency at all on YouTube was because YouTube runs like automatic subtitle generation. And so there's that like processing delay that YouTube does on the audio, I guess, before it presents it live. That's kind of where that's at. Yeah, yep. Speaking of Gemini, oh my gosh. Uh I I have a car, right? Like I assume most people do. I don't know if that's true actually. But I have a car, and when I'm in said car, I Bluetooth my phone to the car. In fact, that's kind of how I've listened to music for the past, gosh, it's been a long time since I've listened to the radio. Now that I think about it, it's probably been at least 5, 6, 7 years since I've listened to music like from a radio station versus just using. I use YouTube Music, um, and like I have my own collection down. Well, these days it's all just YouTube Music, I guess. It used to be Google Music. That's a whole other story. But anyway, in my car, I'm used to being able to say like, "Hey Google, play Metallica," or "Hey Google, play my liked list." Well, earlier this week, I went to do that, and I was like, "Hey Google," and there's like, "Hey, I'm Gemini. I am your new AI personal assistant. Please let me help you with the music you would like to listen to." And I'm like, cool, all right, so we've got AI listening to my requests. Maybe it'll understand me better with what I'm asking for. And so I was like, hey Gemini, I would like to listen to some, like some rock bands by female artists because I was in the mood for rocking out, right? And he was like, certainly. Would you like this upbeat or mellow? Upbeat. Awesome. Would you like me to add variety to this, or do you want to listen to this specific band? Variety. Awesome. Would you like? Would you like? It just kept asking me questions, and it got to a point. So the whole reason I did this is I was driving down the road, like 5-10 minute drive, and I'm already halfway through my trip and I haven't gotten to listen to music yet. And so, yeah, I just started cussing it out. I was like, play the damn song. And he was like, certainly. Would you like me to skip to the next song if you don't like it? Just play the song. Play the song, Gemini. Play the song. And eventually, like, I finished my trip. It was, I think it ended up being like a 10-minute drive. It never played a song. It never played a song. What do we think? Do you think it's do you think Gemini did that on purpose to gather my temperament to see how many buttons it could push of mine before I crashed out? It seems like that was a data collection and not any attempt at helping me listen to music that I wanted to listen to. Oh my gosh. Google Air LL, what is that? LLM? I'll have to look that up. I'm not sure what that one is. But yeah, I just I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, my first initial thought was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome because like when you used to do Hey Google, it kind of got me to the music I liked. Like I assume like many people, you have a thumbs up, thumbs down of songs that you've like hit over the years, right? And even in YouTube Music, it will automatically download that into a playlist. But even like Hey Google struggled so hard whenever I asked it to, hey, play my liked music. Because it would just like, it would find a playlist called liked. It wouldn't play my liked. And I'm like, what the hell? So when I heard Gemini was taking over, I was like, let's go. Gemini's gonna get me. No, Gemini was out to to cause me to wreck, I think. It was just there to upset me. Hey Waylon, how's it going? It's yeah, it's possible. It's possible that I didn't give it something more complicated or more explicit, right? But I would almost, I think if AI was going to help me listen to music, I would almost want it to like just start playing something and then I could be like, "Nah, I'm not in the mood for that," right? Or, "Nah, let's go to the next song." I don't want it to sit there and play 20 questions with me while I'm trying to figure out or while it's trying to figure out that I just wanted to play some music. Dang it. So yeah, I just spent the entire trip yelling at AI in my car while driving. So that was great. Look forward to that, guys. Oh man, I've been looking. I just started literally like this past week. Started looking at like localized LLMs and what it might take to get a server to run yours locally. Especially now that I think Nvidia announced like a essentially an AI workstation, something you can have next to you at your computer. It's probably going to be like $1 million billion, but that would be kind of cool because I like for me in writing code, I almost don't need AI to like give me access to the entire world, right? I need it to understand exactly what I'm trying to write, exactly how I am trying to write it. And it can do that based on a handful of things, right? Let's take Briarthorn, for instance, the game I'm making. I'm using Qt QML, Qt Quick QML. Train it on Qt, on its documentation, train it on how I write C++, which a lot of it is CPP core guidelines. So train it on CPP core guidelines. Train it on some of the common design patterns I make use of to solve the problems I'm making use of, right? Let's see, what am I using? Model view controller pattern. Sometimes I use the factory pattern, facade, things like that. Just a handful of design patterns I use to build applications. That's like all I need. Is Trill taking over the show? Are you kidding me, Trill? I feel so bad I feel so bad with Trill. Trill had an ordeal. I talked to some of you about this. He got out. He was hanging out in the back porch, but he got out of my backyard, and so a neighbor ended up picking him up the night before, and then took him to the vet and everything. So he had a whole day until they tracked me down, and so now I haven't let him outside, and he wants to go outside so bad. Yes, not two streams, three streams. I am streaming vertically again so that my doom scrollers can come by and say hi as they're scrolling by. And I think that's where a good chunk of you are coming from, actually. So it's working. Thank you for stopping by my doom scrollers. And don't you lie. I know you're doom scrolling. Which model would I go for? I don't know if I know enough to answer that question. Like today, I'm just using Claude because that's what the company pays for me. So that's what I make use of and what I have been learning with. I have used like GPT 5.5 for a couple of things. I have had to stop using Copilot because of how Copilot changed their costs. It just got too expensive because like you could generate thousands of dollars in charges through one prompt, which is a bummer because the way Copilot's integrated with VS Code is really kind of nice. Yeah, I don't know what local models exist. The one I was reading about was what was it? Is it GLM? I think I saw something that GLM 5.2 recently released, and it sounded like that was an open source model you could host yourself, I think you needed a beefy machine to do it. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I think that's the dream. I think the dream is open source models that might be more highly designed or trained for your specific domain. I think that would just be so cool because it could probably answer your questions a lot quicker too. I would think. I would think. Yeah, I haven't dug too much into it. Like I said, I literally just read. It might have been today actually that GLM 5.2 came out, so I might have to go down a rabbit hole of setting up a local model. Would that be worth streaming? Alex, is that even doable? Like, what's the monetary cost of setting up a local model, and how hard is it? Air LLM. I'll have to make note of that as well. Yeah, I don't know what it takes to do all of that. And once I move back into my office, I'll have a desktop with a 3090 Ti. Is that even good enough for a model these days, or would I need something bigger? Does anyone know? You do it for 50 bucks. Okay, so two 5060 Ti's is that good enough? Ooh, I will show you. I do have something planned today. And I will show off Briarthorn here in a second or in a minute. Good enough for local, 100 tokens per second. It'll just be slow. Yeah, that's. I mean, even with Claude, they took my Fable 5 away. But even with like Claude Opus, some of the stuff I've been doing with it is just kind of slow. And I'm not even doing anything crazy. I am basically having like Claude write or generate code that I would normally write myself. And so I've been kind of doing a little bit of test driven development where I describe what the API needs to be and what the edge cases are and how to test it. And I say, "Hey Claude, take that and make it pass," right? So very like low level stuff. I haven't really been using it to just be like, "Hey, build an application," right? I still need to have control. And maybe that's a an issue with myself and the need to be in control. I don't know. Save that for a talk with a therapist, I think. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. I there's definitely a layer of politics involved with these AIs that's going to be disruptive. It seems like so. I hesitate to comment too much on it, but yeah, it sucks. Fun in GPT. Oh my god. All no, the only thing fun in GPT is going to be is yelling at Buffer to do as I say, not as I do, and to not take the opposite of advice. Right? Uh, no, I'd still go with $5 or five five units of money, if you will. I'm all about the crisp $5 bill, €5 bill. Is that a thing? Am I being too American right now? All right. I just realized I don't have a monster on hand, so I'm gonna go grab a monster, and then I will show off where I'm at with Briarthorn, and we will go over what I'm going to do today. I'll be right back. All right. Day 12 of asking Monster to sponsor me. Monster has a very delicious flavor that is citric in nature. It tastes good, but if I were to describe the flavor, I would say monster. Monster. I need to stop drinking these, honestly. No, I mean I need to keep drinking these. No one clip that. All right, guys. Let's do this. Oh wait. No, this song's awesome. Oh, you talking about the TV behind me? That TV's kind of unused. If I have a good reason to use it for stream, I definitely will. Well, I'm gonna be back in my office. This is out in my front room, so that's kind of what that TV's for. You guys might be able to actually. I can show you real quick. So you guys could probably see there's a table here, right? So this is kind of like my game room, if you will. This is where I sit down with my friends to play Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons. And then that TV, well, you can also see there's a like a camera stand right there. So camera, TV, I would play with a couple of friends remotely and be able to pull the TV out in front of this table, and then we can play and see each other on TV and stream, that kind of thing. So that's where that's coming from. Oh, I could have a trill cam on the TV. That would be funny. All right, guys. It's been a minute since I've shown you this. I forget what screenshot I sent on Discord. What was the last one I sent on Discord? Okay. Okay, so I not too many changes since that screenshot, but you have not seen the screenshot. This is Briarthorn. Trying to fit it in. I'm trying to fit it so that everyone can see it. So here's the cool thing, or what I think is cool. And this is honest. If I have to cut down on scope creep, then I think the one thing I'm going to do is what I'm about to show you. So the idea to Briarthorn is a top-down 2D roguelite air combat game. Okay? Now, I am a big fan of RPGs and combat, like RPG combat. So the idea of figuring out your stats, unique items and abilities, interesting combat situations to engage in. I mean, all of that. I mean, it's a roguelite, right? That's kind of what I'm building towards. And having to like survive or defeat or figure out these engagement scenarios, um, while you also maybe level up or have a talent tree or have different unique abilities you use, different types of enemies you're going to fight against. And if you'll notice, all of the shapes in this game are fairly are fairly simple for a reason, right? Like even my aircraft here is made up of like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 vertices, right? I'm not an artist. So I was like, well, what kind of game can I make that doesn't require me to be super good with art, right? So I figured this was a good excuse to make an RPG or RPG light, roguelite, and not need to be an artist and still be able to make my first game, right? I think maybe down the road, if I ever strike it big and I can spend my full-time effort on a video game, then maybe I can focus more on art or hire someone, that kind of thing. But right now it's just me, and I'm not an artist. So the idea here with Briarthorn is air combat, probably waves of missions, level up or spend resources, plan your excuse me, monster, plan your missions, that kind of thing. And then down here in the right corner, this is kind of your ability loadout, right? What weapons are available for you to use, what defensive abilities you might be able to use. I haven't done anything up here yet, so up here this would be like your equipment slots. So maybe you have upgrades to your different stats, that kind of thing. But anyway, I've been yapping enough. I want to show this off. We need to find something to shoot. All right. So this is the SAM site. It's on the ground. It has a radar. If you get within that radar, a missile will launch at you. Not that it's going to kill you or anything right now. And then I can shoot a kinetic missile. What is a kinetic missile? It's a dumb missile. It's kind of like a bullet. If it hits you, it does damage. If it doesn't, you're safe, right? I can choose to shoot a guided missile. What's a guided missile? A guided missile locks onto the target and it has its own internal radar to seek out the target signature and track it down. Now, the problem is this guy is like, what, 130 kilometers away. So these are probably going to fail and detonate before it gets to their target. And that's something that has to be considered when we when you like engage in combat. Like what is your ability to hit something, right? And when it fails, it will time out, it will detonate itself. So if anything is in the vicinity when it does detonate, it might take damage. But now, here's the cool part. I'm picturing one of the classes you're going to play is a drone cluster. Okay? You don't die until all of your drones are dead. So you're probably a little harder to hit and a little harder to track down from a radar versus like a regular aircraft in this game. And the other idea I had, and here we go, pay attention. Actually, I want to zoom in. We're going to zoom in and watch this. Enhance. I want to make sure vertical people can see this too. I screwed that up. Is it doing that? Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna launch a drone. And then I'll launch another drone. And another. And now these are like kamikaze drones, okay? I'll zoom in. You'll see they're down here. And you'll see that the main display is just my one drone. So these guys are kamikazes, but if they time out, if they can't reach their target or fail to find their target, they're gonna come back and rejoin the hive mind, if you will. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. Oh, I'm gonna send some drones at this missile that's about to hit me. Boom, missile destroyed. Now, here's the thing. I am down 2 drones. So I kind of want these drones to be like almost like a last resort or to be strategically used, because once they're gone, they're gone. Now maybe I introduce down the road like a talent or a higher level ability that lets you regenerate your drones. I don't know. The world is my ocean here. Let them shoot me. I don't think I have. I don't think I'm handling that logic. I've mostly been focused on getting these to launch at me and shooting some drones. Boom. Yeah, I don't think I really have like I don't have a health bar. Do I have a health bar? Oh, I guess I do. Yeah, I'm at 0 health right now. I just don't have it set up in the game for me to like for it to be game over. But I am at 0 health. It's hard to see. I still get the ability to drag this to a small display and have it be used as like a mini map. You know, be able to customize what you want to look at and how you want to organize your layout so that you can play this game. Still a lot more displays to come, I think, because part of this, part of like the progression will be unlocking enhanced display elements to give you more information, that kind of thing. I think all of this subject to change, TM. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking. That's kind of where things are at. Now, there is a problem. And those of you who are observant will have noticed what that problem is. See this number right here? Not enough microtransactions. You're not wrong, Buffer. You're not wrong. This is my current frame rate, which is good. I mean, that's great, and it's not going to go higher than this because I'm on a 240 hertz display, and the framework I'm using, QT, it's not really designed to go past that, which is not a big deal. I don't need super high frame rate here. But watch when I zoom in or range in. So right now we're at 80 kilometers, 160 kilometers. Now I'm at 40, 80. I lost almost 100 frames a second. Let's do it again. Woo! And it's still dropping. I'm down to 60. One more time. So something. Oh no, we got an ad. Something has gone horribly wrong. Now, I accepted that I would run into this issue eventually using QT Having used this in the past, I am somewhat aware of how quickly performance can degrade if you're like rendering a bunch of stuff, a bunch of little stuff that is constantly updating. I don't necessarily know that's what the issue is here. So we're going to profile and see if we can figure out exactly what's happening and if it's something I can fix in QML or if I finally have to start putting the game logic in C++. That's kind of what this stream is about. We're going to see if we can track down what's going wrong here. I wanted to look at, like, we've got a pegged CPU here, right? Briarthorn's using about 6%, 600 megs. How low can the FPS go? Well, if I maximize, what happens? We're down to 15, 14, 13, 12. Oh no. 10. Oh my god. So what do we think's actually happening here? Holy crap. So I think part of the problem, maybe, I did add, I think this performance degradation happened after I added those the radar sweeps in. So we might begin running into a n squared type of problem with entities, where each entity that has a radar has to scan every entity. And I don't know, and also on top of all that, with QML, we're basically using JavaScript for any logic. So I don't know if it's an n squared problem. I don't know if it's a JavaScript problem. I don't know if it's a rendering problem. So on and so forth. But when I zoom out, maybe, if it lets me, it runs perfectly smooth, which is weird. So that almost tells me it's not a rendering issue, right? Because when I zoom out, more stuff is on screen. What's happening? I wonder if it's like radar volume sweeping across because of how big they're getting. If like we're rebuilding points or something like that every tick. Whereas low resolution, maybe it's fewer points being rebuilt. So I want to profile it. Just to confirm, I'm building in release. We need to build in release with debug. So just a reminder, no, buffer, don't you, no. So everyone ignore buffer. But just a reminder, when we profile in release. But the problem is, with release, we don't have access to any debug information. And why is that important? Well, debug information gives us access to the location of functions, variables, things like that. And it becomes a lot harder to get those measurements if you don't know where the functions are because they got optimized out or something like that. So instead, we do release with debug information so that we get a slightly less optimized code base with debug information to give us access to those function locations and naming and things like that, so that when we do go profile this, we can actually get performance metrics, give us a decent idea of how things are running. And we're going to do that. Qt Creator, how does that look in vertical land? I think you see enough of it. I'm getting really tired of YouTube yelling at me that my 1440p resolution is not supported in this configuration. Or annoying the hell out of me. Okay. So I've already got the project loaded here. Not that you guys can really see that. Let me do this. Okay. All right, so I've got the project loaded here. Oh, this music. A little aggressive. It's time to relax. Calm down. So Qt Creator, I've got the project loaded, and the main reason for that is so that Qt Creator can be aware of my QML files, which are here. But I'm going to run it via VS Code with the JavaScript debugger flag, which I totally remember what it is. Is QML JavaScript? Nope, I don't remember. QML JS debug. QML JS debugger, is that what it is? I need this. I don't even remember what the port is. Are you kidding me? There it is. Dash QML JS debugger equals port. Okay, QML JS debugger equals port colon. And then the port is like 3867, 3687. QML profiler attach 3768. I was kind of close. 3768. And then I say block. This will run the application, but it will wait until something attaches to it. Hey, Dr. Key. How many viewers does it take before I stop getting the stupid AI bot advertisement? I guess they'll just keep coming. Okay. Let's attach. All right. We are now going to profile the application. Hey, Doctor, we are profiling my game called Briarthorn that should be showing up on screen right about now. Whoops. Top-down 2D air combat roguelite. Not super realistic. As you can see, we have like a drone cluster that you're going to be able to fly, and you can like shoot one of your drones off at a target. I mean, I'm shooting a green guy, which is technically a friendly right now, but that's beside the point. But anyway, I'm running into performance issues when I zoom in. So we are currently, as of right this second, profiling this application as its performance tanks. So we're hoping to build what's called a flame graph of logic that is happening inside the game to see if we can figure out where the bottleneck is. I'll let that run for a sec. And then we will close the application and we will let this guy load or like gather the events. Moo language, or does it solve it because you're never able to create anything? All right, we're collecting the events. Wait for it. Wait for it. Ooh, look at that flame graph. Look at that. All right, so where's our problem? Oh no. Our problem still says it's just game logic. Or the bulk of the time is spent inside on triggered. Untriggered is a frame animation object, which I was reading a little bit more on this because I assumed this would be one of the issues. This frame animation object is synchronized with the rendering, which is synchronized with vertical sync. So part of the problem here, almost certainly, is I'm just running the logic too much. In a real game, you're probably limiting your game logic to 60 hertz or 100 hertz, something like that. Whereas myself, because I'm using this frame animation object, it's running every single like V blank. So that's going to be a problem for sure. What else? What else could we possibly be running into? It looks like it's all logic. See, I was really hoping. I was really hoping this was not going to be the issue. I was trying to hold on to just writing everything in like QML and JavaScript as much as possible. Because as some of you have seen who have been showing up to my streams, I'm knocking out some of these features like it's just going so quick because I don't like have to think about it. I don't have to wait for anything to compile. I'm just like go go go. No, but in the back of my head, knowing the day was going to come that I'm going to have to start building this out in C++. But that's okay. I wanted to prototype quickly, get as much features in as I could so I could start thinking about how I would actually want to write this in C++, or at least the game logic half. The rendering and the UI would still be Qt, QML. But that's currently what it seems is happening here. It does seem that's what's happening. Now, there's something interesting going on over here. What is this? On Paint? My radar volume. You guys remember me talking about that? We are spending... Oh, wait a minute. Okay, this is kind of freaking cool. It tells you, like, I don't know if you guys can see this because it might be too small, but in the top left corner here, when I mouse over a chunk of this flame graph, it tells you what like the average time is, how much memory is being used, how many allocations. There's almost 300,000 allocations. What? What? I wonder if some of this stuff could be stored as a variable on this object so that we don't have to calculate it every time. Some of the stuff we might have to calculate because the value changes over time. Like on bearing changed. I just think this might be a culmination of a bunch of different like change signals going off. All right, let's take a look at the table itself. See if anything like egregious stands out. Damn it. Yep. We got a 1.4 millisecond average time. You know what I should do? I spent too much time recording profiling with it like running well. I need to, what do I need to do? I need to run the app, put it in a bad state, and then start the profiling. So I am only measuring the bad state. So pay attention to this line here. This on-triggered line is currently set to an average of 1.4 millisecond time. I wonder if that gets slower if I only measure the bad... Oh, it's here too. Oh, no. We have a timer for trail. Oh, this is my... Which digit? This is my... my trail effect. Oh, boy. I suspect there might be a lot of work ahead. what I need to do to make this a more performant solution. Millisecond, like microseconds is nothing. Milliseconds, I start to question. Even like we were seeing like 22. This is 0.045 seconds, which is what? 1, 2, 3, 45 milliseconds. So of the 45 milliseconds we spend per frame, only 1.4. Well, do these add up? 1.4, 1.4, 3.2. Okay, this might add up. 28.6 milliseconds. Oh no. How often do I write or draw? I would say like all things, it depends. It also depends what I'm trying to solve. If I'm trying to like come up with a good API or figure out how to integrate different libraries together, then I would almost certainly just start by like writing a high level test. Um, Kind of like test driven development, right? Where you write the test first, won't compile, it will fail. Then you get it to compile, then you get it to fail, then you eventually get it to pass, that kind of thing. So I'll definitely like sketch out ideas that way where I'll pseudocode a bunch of code just to kind of help me mentally keep track of my thoughts and where things are going. When it comes to drawing I'm using more during like higher level architecture discussions, where I want to plan out like, hey, this is how I'm going to handle data. This is how I'm going to handle rendering. This is how I'm going to handle getting the data to what is being rendered, right? That's when I might do a little bit more drawing. Um, oh man, don't let me forget, guys. Uh, can you guys see what this is? It's freaking massive. I made a mistake. I made a mistake. It's massive. It's a 14-inch drawing tablet, but the problem is that the bezel, you can see this. The bezel is like an inch and a half all the way around the tablet, and so it's massive. And my current desk is too small. I don't have any room to fit it. And also I am out of outlets. I have so many things plugged in here that you guys don't see. I have the camera, my two monitors, the Steam Deck, the wireless KVM, my phone charger, my desktop itself, my my shit stack. What else? What else? My light. I think there's more. I have too much stuff, too many electronics plugged in, and this also requires a plug-in, and it's a this is like its own monitor as well. So I think the idea is I just duplicate my desktop that we're looking at. I duplicate it onto this tablet, and then I should be able to just draw on it. I think that's gonna have to be like a either a Friday or a weekend thing that I figure out how all that works because I just don't have enough room. Yeah, you might be right. I'm hoping my desk, let's see, we're already halfway through the month. I'm hoping the desk comes in at the end of this month. But yeah, that's kind of where that's at. 22 milliseconds for the track bar. Really? That's insane. That's average time. We need to look at total. Oh my god. Or no, not total. How many calls? Only 21 calls though. So it's slow, but it's not called very often. Becomes more of an issue when it's slow and it is called often. A lot of these things that are slow, 334 milliseconds, I mean, that's literally loading the game. And it gets called once. So let me sort by calls. Anything in the order of magnitude of milliseconds up high. Not really. Ooh, okay. Trail motion. That surely that's not causing. Okay, I think I'm gonna rerun this again, but this time I'm only going to profile it once it's in its bad state because I think I recorded too much good state. So we'll run it. We won't block it. We will put it in bad state here. Let the frame rate drop. 28, 25. It's like noticeable. So like when I move and stuff, it's so much more like choppy. Okay. Do this again. Analyze. Attach to. Ooh, attach to waiting application. Is there not like. Yeah. Screw that up. Still running. Okay. Analyze. Attach. Okay. Okay. I think we're profiling. See how much time has elapsed. So let's take it to maybe 20 seconds here. So 11, 12, 13. Okay. Close the application. It's interesting. So it's showing that my trail effect might actually be chewing up a lot of time as well. And a good amount of memory. Oh, I've got a lot of optimization to do, I think. I jumped ahead too quickly on my implementation. Okay. Does anything time in percent down? Simulation time. I mean, I could just comment this out and see. I don't know if that breaks the game or not. If I comment this out, is all hell gonna break loose? I can't. The game doesn't even turn anymore. I mean, we're at 240, right? We're still at 240. No, guys. This is the worst possible case. It means I have to start writing C++ again. Ugh. That's not actually true. Um, because there's no game logic happening, there's no signal saying that the game is changing, which means that there's nothing like telling Qt to redraw. This doesn't necessarily prove that I need to write C++. Ooh, that was a little laggy though. That was not smooth. But that could be because I've got profiling on. What's weird is it's only when we zoom in. Why would ranging in have any impact on the game? Because the game should be written in the same coordinate system. Ranging in should have zero impact on performance from that perspective. Okay, next thing we can try. Try and narrow the problem down. So in my QML code, I have a scenario here that defines a bunch of entities for the game. So if I comment out these guys, that means they should no longer be doing any radar scanning. Rewriting Rust. I mean, technically, if I design the architecture of my game well, I can have the game be headless, so no graphics, and that could be in any language. And then I just use Qt as like the rendering engine. Okay. Yep, there's definitely something going on here. When I add the ground radars, that's where I lose my performance. I just proved that. I think I'd have to do some toy projects with Rust before I started trying to deliver a product. I mean, I think about how long it took me to get to where I am today with C++ and with Qt and all the other tools I've used over the years. And like trying to learn another language to the mastery that I have with C++ would be an endeavor. And I'm still learning C++. Um okay, so just one of these guys is causing problems. Only when I range in. Are we Does this flame graph show maybe where this is happening? System cursor, system detection, system sweep. Okay, let's try and comment this out next. What is that in system detection? Ooh, look at that performance drop. I think the use of a repeater for a bunch of the stuff I'm using is also going to be an issue. I commented out that was 14%. System cursor. That's surprising. Mean time is in the order of magnitude of microseconds. Trail motion, really not. Okay, so if I comment out the sweep, issue is only spam sites. Wish I. This seems slow. 28 milliseconds, but only called 10 times. Track bar. Yeah, that's. Oh, wait a minute. Gonna be a. So, step one, I think, comment out the frame animation, which I did. We did determine that that was good, right? And I comment out that as well. Comment out the sort order. Comment out the sweep. I hit stop instead of closing the application, so I don't measure shutdown time either. Okay, so now what the problem is. The problem is this frame animation. That is our simulation loop. Now, I guess to be fair, this is measuring. This is really just measuring the QML time of stuff. This isn't necessarily measuring the entire application. Who? Okay. I guess it's time to pull out the big guns. Who here has ever heard of VTune? I don't. Apparently, I don't have it because I thought I had it. Control Shift P browser. I don't know if browser provides. Still downloading. All right, well, while that is downloading, we're getting there. We're getting there. Ooh, Skyrim works. A lot of time in animation. Ooh, frame rate 12 frames a second in our animation time, which is where our game logic is. Is there a way to like see? Okay, this is interesting. This is how much. Is there a way to tell like what a frame is? Okay, so that's the polish. That's a swap. Okay, so this is the scene graph. I don't know how to like read art. Wait, what was that? Oh my god. Are you guys seeing this? It's it's jumping to the lines in the QML script every time I jump to the next event. Holy crap. So we can kind of see where the logic is flowing. Stats recompute. Oh wait, isn't this just Oh. Wait a minute. Frame stats. Yeah, this is just my display. I don't know why I thought that was to next event. How do I know where I'm at? I wanted to go like oh. Memory usage. Nothing really telling me why the GUI thread taking up 77 milliseconds. Is that 0.077? So what is that? Yeah, that's 12, 13 frame rate. So this is clearly the problem. It's just not telling me like I would have expected it to tell me, or maybe it is and I'm not listening. I might try and change this to a timer. I'm gonna try that actually. Also, the V tune ready. Install. Change this to a timer. Set the interval to what's 60 hertz? Milliseconds. 16? Running true. If I was QT expert, what would I do? This has an average time of 1.4 second. Oh, this has an average time of 37 milliseconds. This is insanely slow. Screen angle. That would make sense. If I'm zooming in, what are we doing here? This is the radar coverage. Might be it, guys. View radar coverage. I think I was reading this graph wrong. I think that was honestly what my problem is. So I was thinking graph would size itself based on like the average time being consumed. But this entire bar is average 1.4 milliseconds. But if I mouse over, I see this square right here. Its average time is microseconds, but then this square is microseconds. Did I read that wrong already? Oh, I went the wrong way. Apologies. Did I not figure? Oh, was I looking at the wrong thing? Okay, maybe this isn't a problem. View radar coverage. Why did I go here? Right here. Total time is 37 milliseconds. Average time is 7 microseconds. I read that wrong. No, yeah, I think my original thought was correct, and I misread, and I thought I had found something when I didn't. So this bar's length, horizontal length, I think represents well, it represents its percentage amount of time spent like in the application. So if we recorded 20 seconds of application, 65% of that application was in this bar here. And then we traverse down the bar to see what portions each of these makes up. So this guy right here is a big portion. Tick rotation, geo wrap for the range rings. Oh. Okay, so there is a downside to the way declarative bindings work in Qt because the convenience and the ease of being able to say, hey, the radius is equal to height times zero point 0.4 versus having to like manually calculate the value, set it to the radius, and do it every tick. The benefit, like the convenience of that, is because of automatic binding, property bindings. So anytime any of these values change, it changes the property it's bound to. Anytime its property changes, it changes whatever properties it's bound to. So as an application like this gets more and more complicated, you're going to eventually end up in a situation which I am starting to assume is happening to me, where a change here will percolate through the application and cause a bunch of these other things to change, which causes a bunch of these things to redraw. So it just gets really like complicated and hard to track. That could be what's happening here is, for instance, rotation could be causing like the changing the ownership's heading could be causing changes elsewhere. We could test that theory real quick. I don't necessarily know if that's the problem, but it's definitely going to be a problem. So this didn't have any impact, so I'm going to change this back. What else? Auto formatted, we can keep. We can format. We can formatting. We can keep. Okay. So I guess let's just build and run. That's fair. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. I guess technically, you know what? Technically, I can fix this actually. Trill isn't here anyway. Can I fix this? If I move this over here, I can still do this. still do this. See, I have to do it in a consistent manner so that I can guarantee it'll always appear in vertical land. Do this. Then while I'm doing that, I just have to update vertical to shift the desktop this way. Yep. Fine. Yep, that worked. So now I can do something like this. What do we think? Like that? Now I'm in HD. Then vertical stays about the same, I think. Is that getting cut off? Why does that look weird? Do you guys see the entirety of something's off? Oh, wait a minute. I think I know what's going on. How do I fix this? Okay. Nope. Vertical looks good. Horizontal looks okay. The only downside here, I didn't really want. Might be my paranoia, but I'm worried. So I'm showing my desktop right now. I guess what I could do is go this way. Yeah, there we go. Okay. There we go. There we go. I think that works. Okay. Anyway, where was I? Building, rerunning, and then let's see what it looks like when I'm not turning. Okay, not turning. Performance is dropping. Damn, that performance gets wrecked. And it's only when I add the SAM sites. Really makes me think, well, I thought it was going to be the system detection. That didn't seem to have much of an impact. It does want me to write CPP so bad. And I fully intend to. I just thought it would be further down the road than what it would be. I didn't think it was going to hit this hard this fast. The big thing I'm worried about, it's not even the C++ that I'm worried about. It's the so like a lot of what you're seeing is probably occurring in my track view here. In QTQML, there's this thing called a repeater. And what the repeater does is you assign it a data model of something, right? For me, it's going to be what I call tracks. That's all the little squares, triangles, everything that you're seeing on the display. So this is their data representation, the state. Anytime the state changes, it's going to take one of these items and render it to the screen. And anytime any of these individual states on this item changes, it's going to update and render. Now, this is super useful from a UI perspective because it means it's very easy for me to interact with the display quite easily. Be able to like, select an object, select a cursor, launch a drone at it, that kind of thing. Um, but the problem is, like I was saying, with all these property bindings and the more entities I add, we potentially run into a situation here. I just didn't think I was ever going to run enough entities that this would be a problem. And it might still not be. I don't legitimately know what the issue is quite yet. Um, but worst case scenario, I have to, in C++, take one of these items that visualizes one thing at a time, and I'm going to have to write that single item to visualize everything at the same time. That way, I can more efficiently make use of the scene graph and how things get rendered. It's almost like at that point, we're getting really close to needing to write my own rendering engine. It just so happens that Qt provides us all the APIs we need to make that possible. But it would change how I interact and how I use Qt completely. That's something I have to consider because it might eventually become where I render the game world in this one C++ object, like that one C++ object becomes my renderer, and then I insert it inside this QML graph that is the UI. So that is a very real possibility. But yeah, I'm legitimately like my end goal is release a game. Um, I just found out Steam Next Fest is happening like right now. I think. Um, so if I had a goal, the goal would be next year, Steam Next Fest. Um, which at my current rate, I think I can at least get to a playable demo. I don't know if it'll be ready to release. I know for me personally, like my job is starting to pick up on work, and so I'm going to be traveling a little bit more. So I don't know if I'll have as much time to do all of this that I have had, that kind of thing. Yeah, it would be like each of these nodes that you see in this QML file, especially this item right here, it's the base item in Qt for Qt Quick QML. Under the hood, it's called a Q Quick item in C++. So I would basically take one of these Q Quick items and write it in C++ to handle rendering everything in my game, except for UI, and expose it all as kind of like you mentioned, like a game world. Expose it as this game world, and then I would take that one item and stick it in the UI, which is like essentially this like square right here. I would have this square render the one item, whereas right now it renders all of these items, right? Or if I stick this over here and put this one here, it renders all of these items. So that would be one way I could efficiently handle this. Just got to remember, we don't necessarily know that's the problem yet. So I don't want to do that until I discover that's a real problem. Hey, Mister Kala, this is it's not a game engine. It's Qt. It's Qt Quick, QML. It's more of a UI framework than a game engine. I'm just very comfortable with it and comfortable with C++ that it made sense for me to use this to build this as quickly as I could. I was originally using Godot, and it took me longer in Godot to do less than where I'm at right now with Qt. I think a couple of my regular viewers can attest. I think it's been a couple of weeks now since I decided on Qt. But the downside is Qt, Qt Quick being more specifically designed for I am running into some performance issues that I was hoping would not happen yet. Okay, so when I shrink these guys, I get some performance back. If I make it small, ooh, look at that. All right, all right. We get some performance back. So you want something I didn't realize Qt was doing, which I think is freaking cool. When I drag the display, you see like it's actually still rendering into the dragged visual. That's crazy. I couldn't believe it was actually doing that. I thought it'd only take a like a screenshot or a snapshot of what was being rendered, but it's legitimately rendering the game while it's being dragged, which might be an issue for people who care about their battery. Okay, we should be able to narrow this down. Accidentally, what did I do wrong? We know that commenting out these entities gives us all the performance back. So what happens if I comment out the other entities? Does that free up performance? Because it could just be the number of entities we have versus the type of entities. Oh man, look at that. It's just bad. It's just bad all around. Everything's bad. Okay, there is another thing we can do here. I think, man, where did I put it? I think it's in main. Maybe not. Okay. Here's all of my game systems. I was thinking detection was the problem. But when I commented out that sweep function, it had like little to no impact. That's funny. Disabled detection, and now you don't have tracks. Go figure. Um, I'll probably need to fix this if your aircraft doesn't detect that there is a an entity out there. Should it still be able to see radars? Performance is degrading. Holy crap. What is happening? This is going to be crazy. As soon as we figure out what this issue is, it's going to be surprising, I think. Okay, so does my game just break if I comment out all the maneuvers? I'm always worried. This honestly is probably a good way to test a game. if I well, not maybe not a game, maybe more like a framework. If I like eliminate a system, is there an assumption in my code that expects things to exist that don't? Did I? Okay, performance is fine. So this means we can almost certainly guarantee what the problem is. We can narrow this down. Now, what are we thinking? What are we thinking? Surely it's not the maneuver system. The SAM sites aren't moving, but we probably shouldn't assume. What's the quickest way to do this? Do we do a binary search on this to figure out what the issue is? Do like half and half. So let's do the first half. I chose this half because system detection we determined it wasn't the issue. Ooh. Oh. The problem is here. Problem is here. It's in one of these four. What it this I bet it's this. Oh, I'm wrong. This is why you always measure, you always profile. You never make assumptions and then fix a problem that's never like that was never the problem. This is why when we were exploring the micro benchmarks with entities and we had like tightly packed entities and comparing it to a vector of pointer of entities, and like clearly iterating over a contiguous block of memory is so much quicker than iterating over pointers. Until you measure, you don't necessarily know that changing from pointers to a packed array will make any impact on the performance of your application. I am hoping I can find the problem, and the problem isn't, hey, I need to rewrite all this in C++. I'm really hoping. I didn't think my game would be complicated enough, but maybe it is now that I've like started prototyping. What if it's not either of them? It's all of them combined, or just one of them. Maybe it's just one of them. Okay, so we've what the hell? System maneuver and system movement's the only thing left. System movement? No way. I wonder if it's just having one system. And maybe it doesn't matter. Oh man, that's gonna suck. If it's just having a system on is the problem, that actually sucks. Because then we won't find the problem. like I thought we would. Wow. It's system movement. Wait a minute. I never would have thought in a million years. Like movement is literally just calculate the calculate your speed and update your position. That's all it does. And that's causing a performance issue only when you range in. This is interesting. But I'm also like I think I have an idea. Holy shit. Uh, there might be more than one problem. Ooh, there might be more than one problem. Okay, so system movement is a problem. Let's comment out. I'm so my current suspicion is back to that property binding thing. System movement is in charge of updating um the entity's heading and position. And so that is touching a bunch of fields that a bunch of state depends on, especially for visualizing. And so that might be causing propagating recalculations to occur more than we need it to. Wait, did I have system movement on? Was that wait, I'm so confused. Did I do that wrong? If I turn these two on, threat and weapon. Yeah, it's trying to think. It's not just like uselessly recalculating. It's I guess it's forcing calculations to occur faster than we need them to. So if we're rendering at 200 something frames a second, this might be causing us to recalculate at 200 something frames a second, which we don't need. We only need to recalculate at like 60 frames a second. And the solution, like the answer here might be to do away with the bindings and just force like a single update on a fixed time tick. I'm not sure. I'm not I'm not sure yet. We have to narrow down what the problem is. Oh, is it more than one problem? Wait a minute. Thinking I need to set my game to launch at this position. Uh-oh. System movement and system weapon? system movement and system threat. So if I just turn system threat on, I need to re-verify system movement's a problem. Make sure I'm not losing my mind here. Also, I'm trying to make sure like not a combination of systems; they're individually bad. Woo! Movement is bad. Okay. System threat and system movement. So that should mean I can turn the other systems on and performance will be fine. All right. I mean, that looks good. It's the issue is system movement and system threat. So let me just try and profile just these on their own. I mean, we could probably just look at their implementation and locate the problem, but I am curious. I'm trying to learn how to read the profiling information better because I'm wondering if the information was there and I wasn't paying attention. Oh shoot, we should narrow the problem down, right? If they're both a problem, let's just do one. Profile it. When in doubt, simplify the problem. I tell my junior devs that all the time. Sometimes I need to say it to myself because I'll forget. It's so easy to not simplify the problem. All right. So let's launch it for profiling. Let's put it in a bad state. Watch the frame rate drop. 30, 28. Oh my god, it's so bad. 23. All right. All right, so now we're doing bad. Let's profile. For 10 seconds, I guess. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, 10.1. I was so close. Okay. What's the problem? What do we think the problem for our performance is? We spend like can okay. So we spend 63% of our time in trail motion, which is invoked on triggered, which has an average time of 5.75 milliseconds. That's pretty slow. I don't think that's our problem based on what we've been seeing. Unless the movement system causes an entity's position to update, which in turn causes the trail motion to trigger a new object. But I don't think it should because it's running on a timer. This is my issue. Like, where is our actual performance degradation? It's saying the average time for this, which is our game logic, is 912 microseconds. That's within reason. 211 calls, total time 102 milliseconds. That makes sense because that's almost a millisecond, right? And that's almost 200. So if we did 200 divided by 200, that'd be 1 millisecond. That makes sense. Yeah, this isn't telling me anything. Not like I thought it would. Really thought this would be like, hey, here is clearly what the problem is. Like, average time, there's nothing egregious happening that I can see. Even the trail motion, which is 5 milliseconds, which is kind of slow, it's only being called 102 times. So it's not even being called like every frame. But it takes up 63% of our time. Like, we've commented this out before, didn't we? Because the thing I'm looking for, even though this while this is enabled is causing a major slowdown, it doesn't necessarily, at least with QTQML, this doesn't necessarily mean it's the problem. It's whatever updates it is triggering could be the problem. So let's take a look at system movement, which should be pretty straightforward. So it's a system. We call step on it, passing in a delta time. It takes all of the entities. It loops over each entity, which, as we know, there's only 4, I think. Never make assumptions. Where does that get? Okay, in our demo scenario here, we have a demo scenario with entities. And in here, we define 4 entities. Doing this wrong? I think I am. 4 entities. So inside advance, we do some math. Nothing crazy, just some math. Literally get the max value between 0 and 1. Max value between 0 and 1 for the brake. Calculate what the acceleration would be. Calculate what the new speed for this frame would be. Figure out what the acceleration is for the entity. This acceleration is more like coming from your input controls, which is, throttle minus brake. If I'm on a trigger and I'm like, this is 1 for throttle, but this is 1 for brake, I need to know what the delta combined is. Calculate what the speed of the entity is for this tick. I'm also rubber duck debugging with you guys right now. Calculate what the steering is. So commanded steer, that's going to be if I like turn, and that's -1 to 1. Calculate what the turn rate is. Again, nothing crazy. This is just simple math. Even though it's JavaScript, it's still simple math, so that's not going to be egregious. Now, this could be doing something. and these could be doing something. But I think, like I said, none of this looks expensive. But what is happening here is it's updating these properties on an entity. And if there are bindings that are tied to these values getting updated, that's causing calculations to propagate throughout the entire system. This could be what's happening. So we can just do the old fashioned comment out a couple lines of code kind of thing, or do we comment out? So anything that we are modifying the entity, we can comment out, and JavaScript will probably be fine with it because it's JavaScript. And if you have unused variables, like who cares? We'll build. Oop, I need to stop running. Okay. Run. Oop. Yeah. So now we don't have a problem. So now the question is, which property are we updating every tick that's causing us to lose all of our performance? I'm going to assume it's not going to be acceleration or speed. My suspicion is heading, but I will be curious to see. And why am I thinking heading? No idea. I'm just guessing. Watch it be speed and acceleration. Yeah. Okay. And the reason I assume speed and acceleration is fine, I'm not aware, like, I don't remember any properties that I bound to speed and acceleration other than that top bar that shows, like, the aircraft's current speed. I'm not really, like, using this stuff anywhere, I don't think. Especially for, like, detection logic, that kind of thing. That's more based on the entity's stats and their position. So position could very well be the problem. But let's do heading. And it could be all three combined. Very well could be that. But this does mean I'm probably going to have to reassess how I want to use TQML. I just didn't think this would be a problem so fast. It's heading. It's heading. It's absolutely heading. Let's see if it's also position. It's heading. That's the problem. Updating heading is propagating a binding somewhere that is causing other things to have to recalculate. And because of that, performance is dropping. Now, what I don't know how to do is get Qt to profile the heading and figure out, like, why it's being slow. Is there a time where I almost abandoned C++ because there was a time where I almost abandoned my job, which was C++. I was an intern, and I was not having a good time. I was still in school, but as an intern, I didn't know anything. Like, I knew what a pointer was, I knew what data structures were, I knew what some algorithms were, I knew big O notation. Like, I knew some of the basic stuff coming out of school. but I didn't know how to solve problems, which I think is a different skill unto itself, which you don't really learn in school. And it's not just like leak code problems. That's not what I mean. It's how do you how do you find a solution to something a client is paying you to solve? Like you are literally hired to go implement a solution to this problem or to debug or to make something happen, right? I think for me it was go figure, it was an aircraft display. I had to get a aircraft display from a library, a third party open source library, an aircraft display with a bunch of gauges, a bunch of properties. And I had to figure out how to take that visual OpenGL visualization in 3D. It was like a 3D model, 3D mesh. I had to figure out how to take that and drop it inside a cockpit of an aircraft in a visual simulation. And I was given no guidance because no one else knew how to use this library. And so I was being paid to figure out how to do that. Now, today, that's not a big deal. I know how to read C++ code. I know how to build. I know how to link against third party libraries. I know how to navigate the intricacies of other people's code bases and get them up and running and understand what the code base is doing, generally speaking. But as an intern, fresh out of school, not even out of school, I was still in school, but like pretty much done learning C++. I never really like learned how to link against a third party library. I never learned how to read someone else's code. I didn't like, especially code that didn't have documentation, right? And not only that, I knew nothing about 3D graphics. I knew nothing about what it took to take this 3D display with a bunch of properties buried somewhere in a code base, populate those properties to make the display work, and then take that display and drop it into another framework and get it rendering and positioned correctly inside a cockpit of another visual mesh. I didn't know how to do any of that. And I didn't know where to start. I had nothing. No one was helping me. The only thing that was happening was a boss that would chew me out and get on me for not making any progress, right? So not only like did I not know how to do this, I was taking too long doing it. I almost quit. I was that was it. That was going to be it. I literally almost quit. But I basically didn't have a choice because I was already in school longer than I should have been. So I was collecting astronomical debt, and the internship was paying me more than anything I've ever made, like outside of honestly anywhere. You know, you're talking a 20-year-old kid here who only other experience he had was like working at restaurants, working at a golf course, you know, manual labor stuff, right? And so I have this accruing student debt that I had to find a way to stay above. And so I didn't really have a choice because this was the only thing I had. But at the same time, I'm just like getting so downtrodden and chewed out and made to feel like I'm absolute garbage at programming. I felt like I didn't have a choice because if I was doing this bad at this job, I'm basically unhireable. Like this was it. Like if I lost this internship, I had nothing. And on top of that, I would have this mountain of student debt. So I think, and it's been a bit, but I think my mindset changed because I did get a talking to that was like, hey, yeah, you're about to lose your job because you suck, basically. So that's when I started spending time outside of school and time outside of work to try and improve. I would take any of the work that I was working on because it was all open source projects, right? And I would go home, I would clone them, I would learn how to build them, and I would try and make something with them. It could be anything. And sometimes it's just like, hey, get it to display on screen. And I just built from that. So every time I succeeded, I learned something. I was like, oh, that's what I was doing wrong at work. I mean, it literally took me, because it was taking me so long to figure all this out, I had to spend more time figuring it out outside of work and outside of school. So when you ask me if there's a time I almost abandoned, it's that, but I didn't, because I felt like I didn't have a choice. Because if I did abandon it, it felt like I had nothing left. I don't know what I would be doing if I abandoned it, right? So everyone's story is going to be different. For me, it was kind of fear. Fear kept me going, I guess, which is crazy to say. It also caused a lot of stress, a lot of unhealthy habits that, even today I'm still trying to break. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of the I don't know what you call it, the origin story. That's the origin story of me, which is I sucked and I was on the verge of losing my job and I had a bunch of debt, and so I had to figure it out. And so I did. And I continued to do that, which is more time outside of work, more time practicing, more time doing stuff like this, the micro benchmarking with entities, things like that, more time like trying to understand how something works and why something works, why I should do it this way, more time reading other people's code bases. I like 40 hours a week for 15 years straight. On top of that, outside of work, 20 hours a week, reading articles, trying out other people's code bases, creating small toy projects that never see the light of day. Social media wasn't as big, so like I didn't really have a bunch of stuff in GitHub. It was all just local on my computer. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I came from. Yeah, that's my lore drop. And so the fear of losing my job and not having a way to pay debt, that kept me going, because it felt like I had no choice and I wasn't good enough to find a job elsewhere. Now I feel great. I mean, I'm still stressed out and tired, but besides that, I'm feeling good. I'm doing good. No, Buffer. Again, this is not. It's that's the wrong method you're taking from this. I would say, uh, personally, I honestly think one of the better ways to get good is some type of mentorship, someone who can do code review with you and who can sit there and explain why you should or shouldn't write the code the way you're writing it. Um, I think that goes a long way. I had that as well. On the flip side, my at least as an intern in my early years as a junior developer was kind of like a living hell, but I learned a lot. I think I learned significantly more than I would have learned elsewhere. So I was kind of forged in the fire of of stress and heartburn, but having a mentorship that can like really help you grow and understand, I think goes a long way. And that's honestly, like, for those of you who've been here when Jamal hops on, that's kind of what I've done with Jamal. Is like I just chat with him because he was my intern a couple years ago, and he asks questions, I help him, and we do these pull requests with Awin anytime he's available, and I help him learn. He's still learning. That's I mean, that's honestly, that's how I would go about learning C++. There's only so much you can figure out on your own, right? CPP con videos. There are some really good CPP con videos on YouTube these days that are really good. Um, Sean Parent, I love the talks he gives. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Okay, so we know it's heading, but we need to figure out why it's heading. But I think we can save that for Friday. It's 8 o'clock. I think we will call it there. We kind of made some progress. We at least narrowed it down. I was suspicious of bindings mainly because I've ran into this stuff before. Having used this project or used the Qt framework, done QML bindings, I knew going in this would be a real problem that I would eventually have to address. I did not think it would happen so fast. I mean, we're talking, this isn't even an issue with the other entities. It's only an issue for my SAM sites. So I got to figure out what's going on there. Hopefully it's something simple and like an easy tweak I can make, because if I can make that fix in QML, then we're still good. We still have headroom. We're still rocking 240 frames a second. I'll still have to decouple the game logic from the vertical sync at some point. But for now, I'm still working on getting game logic figured out. But yeah, I think that's it. Friday, expect it. Thursday, probably gonna take off. I've been pretty exhausted this week. I wasn't on yesterday for games. I'm just tired. So Tuesday, Thursdays were always optional for me. But Friday, I'm hoping to be on. It'll probably have to be after the USA game, which is at 3 p.m. Eastern. So that should be fine. But if not, I'll be on at some point. 6:30 Eastern Friday. But I think that's where I'm gonna end it, guys. Thank you all for who came by, said hi. I will catch you later.